You're listening to Real Talk Podcast with Steve Harrison, where he'll be talking about current events, finance, God, relationships, lifestyle, and health. So stay tuned, because Steve is going to bring that real talk on Real Talk Podcast.
Welcome to Real Talk. I'm your host, Stephen Harrison. My guest today is Ashley DeJesus. She's here today to discuss her move from Puerto Rico to the United States, step parenting, and her Christian walk with God. Ashley, thank you for coming to the show.
Thanks, Steve. Happy to be here.
Yes. Ashley, why did your family decide to come to the U.S. when you was 12 years old with your brother?
I was 13 when I first came here.
Okay.
It was a combination of two things, pretty much. Both of my parents' health were suffering in Puerto Rico. My mom was developing a sickness called photodermatitis, which pretty much means that the UV rays from Puerto Rico, the Puerto Rico sun, it was just too strong for her. And it was giving her a reaction where she would swell up to the point where people will look at her and be like, did you get in a fight or something? What's going on?
Yeah.
It was really bad.
Okay.
And the doctors were fearing that it might affect her, at one point, her throat, that she won't be able to breathe anymore.
Okay.
So she definitely couldn't stay there any longer. My dad suffered a injury from work where he had a fall and hurt his back. So he had 2 broken discs and another disc from his back that was near the point of also shattering. And he had 2 surgeries, and he couldn't work anymore.
So what was it like for you and your brother to come from Puerto Rico? What was the transition like?
It was horrible.
Okay.
All we know, our life, everything that we knew was Puerto Rico.
Okay.
And it was such a cultural shock coming here because the cultures are so different.
Yes, it is.
And for me, actually, I think that's where me and my brother got along the most, because we had to depend on each other.
Okay.
Because we didn't know anybody here.
Yes.
You know, in Puerto Rico, we were so like, oh, you have your friends, I have my friends. And it was that age where brothers and sisters really don't get along necessarily.
Yeah, 12 years old.
It's like you do your thing and I do my thing over here, and I hate you, but I love you kind of thing.
Yeah. Don't tell mom.
Yeah.
Kind of
Oh, she wouldn't know, because we were always arguing, and she would be like, just stop it.
Okay.
But I think that this situation definitely brought us together because we only had each other at that point.
Okay. So the family that you came to the United States, how did that relationship, did y'all get closer when y'all came here, or you had to work your way through?
We kind of had to work our way through it. When I first came here, we lived with my grandma.
Okay.
But that, I knew her since I was a baby, pretty much. She came to the States a couple of years before we did. So it was more like, I'm glad to see you. I'm glad that we're back together, pretty much. And that was the easiest part. My aunts and my uncles, now that was different. That was definitely more, because I only came to see them during vacation times, and some Christmases I came here and I saw them. So it's not that we used to see each other often, but they definitely helped us cope with the situation and getting over here. Yeah.
So what was your relationship with your uncles and your aunts? I mean, they have time for you because you're 12 years old, 13 years old, and you're trying to learn a whole new system. They walk you through, or these are things you and your brother just had to figure out for yourself?
I think that we figured it out for ourselves for the most part. We were brought up in a Christian home, and they weren't in that kind of lifestyle, so they didn't really want to expose us to their lifestyle. So it was mostly for, let's take you out, because I know that you've been at your house, you don't know anybody, let's take you out to get some ice cream or to the park, so it's mostly about that. They didn't want to expose us to any of that behavior that they used to involve in. So.
Okay, when your mother and father was going through their difficult times, what did that do to you and your brother? I mean, to see your mother, her condition that she was in, and your father condition with the surgery he had to get, what did that do to you as a child?
We were concerned. We were definitely concerned, and we could see the difference in the way that we were living. I mean, my dad was out of work. He was pretty much the person who took care of all the bills and everything.
System,
my mom was a stay-at-home mom in Puerto Rico, and we saw what, that minus that job, what I could do. We were eating eggs at all times.
What's wrong with eggs?
It's a simple food,
Yes.
We weren't eating any extravagant meats anymore or
Yes.
anything like that. So everything was changing little and little. And we were both looking at each other like, something's up and something's going to happen. So, and that's when it hit us that, the next day we were like, we're moving. And we were just bracing ourselves for what was coming.
Okay, what was your relationship? Was you vocal with your mother and father when they was going through their difficult times, or you just shut down and just like got depressed and say, you know what it is, but mom and dad knows best?
To be honest, during that time where my dad was having his surgeries, we were mostly with church members.
Okay.
Because my mom was very occupied with him in the hospital, and the hospital where he was being treated was not near where we lived. Okay. It was probably like an hour and a half from where we lived. And we were staying with family members and with church members also. So the times where we would see them, it was more for bonding time versus them telling us this is what's going on and it's not looking good, Okay. So there wasn't that much communication about. My mom was always very reserved on not letting us know what their problems were, what the household was going through. It was more like your kids just enjoy being kids. Yeah. Yeah. So there wasn't very much of that communication of what the issues were. But we knew what was going on. We saw it, and I felt for them. Absolutely.
I want to back up a little bit. You left Puerto Rico at 13 years old.
Yep.
What was it like being taken away from your friends? You grew up with your friends going back and forth to school, and then you got to go to a whole nother country. What was that like when you had to tell all your friends goodbye?
Oh, Steve, I was not having it. Okay. I was not having it. I was very mad. I was very bitter. And it was to the point where I didn't want to say bye. Okay. I didn't want to make new friends. As soon as I came to the States, I didn't want to go out. Okay. I didn't want to look for a new church because I had my church already. Okay. I was that kid. And it was hard. It was hard for my mom because, she knew what was happening, but she wanted to make it better. Yes. Amongst all the things that were going on, my dad was still in Puerto Rico when my mom came. Yes. So we were staying basically in a studio apartment. There was like 5 of us. Wow. Yeah, there were 5 of us. It was my grandma, my mom, my brother, myself, and my uncle in one studio apartment. So I was sleeping in the kitchen.
Ain't nothing wrong with
on
that.
The
you
floor.
Was there where the food was at. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but it was different for me because I grew up with my own room. Yes. I grew up, and it was so different, and it was so hard for me to comprehend. But I also felt bad because I knew that it was just not affecting me. It was affecting my mom too. She was away from her husband when my dad was still recuperating from these surgeries. These surgeries were really hard on him. Yes. And I knew that she missed him, and me and my mom used to sleep together in the floor, in the kitchen floor, and I remember just wrapping my arms around her every single night, and that was our way to just cope through things.
Yeah, and bond with each other through the whole time. Yeah,
absolutely.
How'd your brother handle it? What was his situation? What was he going through when all this was going on? Because you're speaking about you and your mom. Mm-hmm. Did your brother shut down? What was his situation? I think
my brother was more open to it. Okay. He's about almost 3 years older than me. Okay. I think that he was coping more with it because I have a cousin named Julio who was very close with him. And he used to take him anywhere and everywhere, pretty much. I was more the stay at home. Yes. With my mom and my grandma. I loved my grandma. Yes. And he had a more of a stronger bond with somebody that was around his age too. Okay. So that was easier for him. And he's a very open-minded guy. And I was more of the I want my way. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, he was more relaxed. He was more relaxed. He was like, we have to do this, and we have to make the best out of it. Okay. Versus me, I just was like, I'm not having it. I'm not going anywhere.
You should totally talk to him. No, I don't know though. I'm scared. You're scared.
that you're in my lane? No, not at all. Are you not paying attention? Are you texting? I was just checking in with my mom. I was telling her that I thought we'd be home by 6. It's okay. There's enough time. Just pay attention. I'm not even halfway through my text. There's no way. I'm not even going to look up. My babies are in the car. You have to pay attention. It's just supposed to be a quick text. I'm so sorry.
Now, transferring from Puerto Rico to here, what was your school like? I mean, how did you make the adjustment going to school? I mean, was you one of those kids that, you know what, I'm not having it, and they had to call home and say, look, your daughter needs some help. She needs some serious counseling.
I was always a nerd, Steve.
A
So no,
nerd?
yeah, I was a straight A
Who
student.
can tell?
I was a straight A student. That's where I never failed per se, because no matter what the issues were, my books were everything at that moment for me.
That's a blessing. A lot of people, you know, when they go through things, their
Yeah.
grades go down too.
Yeah, no, not for me, because what the blessing was too, and I think this is God just prepping us for what was to come. I was in a bilingual class from 1st grade to 6th grade in Puerto Rico.
Okay.
And that doesn't happen often or ever, where you have this class with the same teacher, with the same students for 6 years.
Wow.
And this one teacher is teaching you everything from social studies, from math, and everything was in English.
So you bonded. You didn't change.
No.
She just teaching you.
Absolutely.
Everything. So you built a better relationship.
Exactly. So the class grew together, and we all learned English from there. So when I came to the States, I knew English.
Okay.
So they were like, oh, no, you're not going to bilingual class. You're going straight to the regular classes. You're good.
Yeah.
You're good to go. So, but it was very different. It was very different because life here goes faster,
Yes,
I
it
feel.
does.
It
Yes,
goes
it does.
faster, way faster than what I was used to in Puerto Rico. And the things that I used to see that going on in school, I was like, oh my God, like what is going on?
Yeah.
I remember the first day of school, I went to my bus stop and I saw some kids smoking weed while they were waiting.
At what age?
I was 13.
Oh, smoke. I think they start over here like 11, 12.
Yeah, and that was such a shock for me. I was like, "What is going on? Oh my God, that smells horrible!" And but yeah, that was just a shock.
Did you go back and tell your mother?
Yes, I was like, I don't know what's going on. There's kids smoking in my bus. I've never seen anything like that. So yeah, it was a shock, and I was just like, "Oh my God, I am in a different world."
Yes, it's a
Different world. Yeah, and you know you're in a different world and living in a different place where the neighbors don't know each other. I mean, I grew up in Puerto Rico and I knew my neighbors by name. Every single person in the block I knew. And, you know, we had the bond where if my mom was low in sugar, she would be like, go next door to Michelle and ask her for a little bit of sugar.
Yeah.
And vice versa. I don't know my neighbors right now. I don't know their names.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a different lifestyle.
Yeah,
and everybody's in a rush.
Yeah, I grew up in the projects, and we got close to our neighbors too.
Yeah.
Because you had to go in the hallway, so everybody knew each other. So,
Yeah.
you know, some towns, everything is different. Some
Yeah.
people don't want to be bothered. It's like,
Yeah.
you know what? I know they Puerto Rican, I know they black or
Yeah.
whatever, but I don't want to talk to them.
Yeah.
So as the neighbors, we have to learn each other and cope with each other because you never know when you're going to need each
Yeah,
other.
absolutely. So that definitely was a different scenario for me because, yeah.
Did you keep in contact with your friends when you was 13, 14, 15 from Puerto Rico?
No.
You never called back, never
No.
checked on them? They never checked on you?
To be honest with you, I'm not a phone person.
Okay.
I'm not a phone person.
We didn't have cell phones back then.
Yeah,
so.
I did do letters. We did do letters sometimes, but it was very brief and short-lived.
Okay.
And after a while, I just decided, you know what, this is my life right now.
Okay.
That was my life then, and I better just
Accept it and move
accept it,
on.
move on.
And move on.
Yeah, absolutely.
So when the last time you've been back to Puerto Rico?
The last time I went Probably was 2012, I believe. 2012.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you seen any of your friends?
I didn't see a lot of friends. A lot of them were in college.
Okay.
And they were not home. But I did see that my neighbors were still in the same block.
Okay.
Every single one was still there.
Okay.
So as soon as I went to my old house, because right now my uncle's living there at my old house.
Okay.
My dad's renting it for him. And as soon as I got there, everybody started coming out of the house and other houses, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, it's Ashley!"
So they recognize you.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. And it was just so good to see because you can see the difference. I
Yes.
mean, they haven't seen me in so many years.
Okay.
They still recognize me, and everybody just comes out just to say hi and just to see
Okay.
how life is going at that
That's
point.
that love. They
yeah,
just loving on you.
absolutely. And
Just
I was
loving on
I was a kid. They've seen me since I was a baby in that block.
Yeah.
So to see me now as a a grown person is just different for them.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Now, I also want to talk to you about step parenting. You just got married not too long ago.
Yeah.
And I want to talk to you about what is it like being a stepmom?
It's not an easy job.
Okay.
It's not easy at all. And it's not easy, but it's very rewarding, I would have to
Okay.
say. For me, the role that I try to take here is I try for me to be, I wouldn't say the bad guy, but I try to be the one that does more of the correcting so they could be more loving towards him because they don't see him as often.
Okay.
So I try to take that role so that he could be the good guy and they could just enjoy the time that they have with him because it's not enough.
Okay. Were there any thoughts in your mind when you became a stepmom? I mean, what was going through your mind? I mean, that's a big responsibility.
Absolutely. But these are just amazing kids. These
Okay.
kids are so lovable. They're so easy to love and so easy to take care of that it became such an easy transition.
Okay.
Honestly, Steve, it was so easy. And I think that was just God. God was prepping me from the very beginning because at a very young age, I loved kids.
Okay.
Steve, I loved kids from a very young age. I was a kid myself, and I used to love hanging out with kids that were way younger than me. I loved to entertain them. I loved to take care of them. And I guess that was just God prepping me for what was to come when I was older. And from the first day that I saw them, I was just like, oh my God.
Okay. I think a lot of women are, they adapt to kids faster than men. Y'all just have this nurture thing.
Absolutely,
the way God had
yeah.
molded y'all. So when you see a child, you're like, oh my God. When a man see a child, he'd be like, that's not my child.
Yeah, absolutely. And I see the difference.
Yes.
I absolutely see the difference with my husband. When he
Yes.
sees other people's kids, it's not the same as when you see him with his own.
Yes, yes.
So yeah, it's absolutely.
That's a man's
It's
thing.
so true. It's so true. Versus me, the other day he was making fun of me because at church there were so many babies going on, and I was like, oh my God,
Yes.
baby here, baby here, baby
Yeah.
here. And he's like, you have baby fever. And I'm like, no, I just love kids.
Yeah, I think it's baby fever. Because men don't be like, oh my God, oh my God.
No.
Men be like, why is that baby crying?
Somebody shut that baby up.
That's
Somebody
us. We look at it like,
We're trying to
please,
pray here.
bring the baby to the altar. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I want to ask you, what was it like when you first met your husband? How did you first meet your husband, and what were some of the things that drew you to him?
I think the first time that we actually saw each other was in a youth service.
Okay.
We kind of just briefly saw each other, and then I never saw him after that. And then we found each other on Facebook. We friended each other, and then he
So
started.
nobody wasn't stalking nobody, right?
No, I don't think
Okay.
so.
'Cause you could
He
Facebook
swears
stalk,
that I was
too.
stalking him, but that wasn't it. That was not it. But we found each other on Facebook. We friended each other, and then he started, he asked me out. We went out, and I loved how easygoing he was.
Okay.
He was somebody that I could talk to for hours about anything and everything.
Okay.
And I knew that at that moment that there was something special there, because you don't just meet someone and then just are so easy to talk to. Not everybody's so easy to talk to that it could be hours and you just notice like, oh my God, we've been talking for hours about just anything. And
Yes.
it was something special, and we hit it off from there.
So you felt it within, because there's a lot of times when you first meet someone, it's like, the the love is there or the lust is there or whatever. You know, you're like, oh my God, I could spend the rest of my life with this person until you get to know him.
Right.
So you dated him for a while. How long did you date him, and then you finally just say, you know what, we need to just tie this down and get married?
Oh man, I think it was maybe 4 months in, where 4 months in that he was like, you know, you're somebody that I could, you know, I think he was like, I think I love you.
Okay.
And I was like, I think I like you. It kind of went like that.
Love to like.
Yeah, I played him off. But that's just how we were, you know, that's just how we were. We always are playing with each other, and I loved how he has such an awesome sense of humor.
Okay.
And I thoroughly enjoy that.
We all want healthy kids, right? And we want them to succeed in life. We need to improve our children's nutrition and get them moving. Do the math. Good food plus active bodies equals kids equipped for success.
Hi, I'm Congressman David Young. Healthier children perform better in school and have higher self-esteem. Let's help them eat right and get moving today.
This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
But women say they like men to make them laugh.
Yeah,
they like,
absolutely.
They don't like nobody that's...
It's healthy.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
It is. You don't want nobody serious all the time.
Absolutely. And he's not serious ever. So.
Yeah, wow. You got to bless it.
Yeah. But, you know, it just comes in handy when things are not going so well, and when you could just make, you know, you can make somebody laugh at points where you just need a laugh. It's awesome.
What foundation are you setting for your stepchildren? You have a church background. You have your stepmom. What are you teaching them?
Oh man, we're always praying.
Okay.
Every time, for any situation. And one thing that I love about how my husband treats them, it's that he teaches them how to be men.
Okay.
You know, and how to be strong in a world where, you know, there's so much bullying going on, and so much picking on kids that, you know, are different or whatever. And he's teaching them how to be strong and strong in the word also, and how to pray when things are not going exactly how they want to. And I love that. And every night we pray. We say thanks for everything that we've had, because we also teach them to be thankful, because not every kid has the opportunities that they do.
Yes.
You know, so yeah, God definitely the foundation of everything. Okay. How to pray for the good, how to pray for the bad, how to just be thankful for everything.
Okay. Did anybody come up to you and say, you sure you want to do this?
Absolutely. My dad.
Okay.
My dad. I mean, my dad loved Joey.
Okay.
I think that they enjoy his presence more than they enjoy mine. So sometimes, yeah. So, my dad was like, you know, I just want to make sure that you know what you're getting yourself into, because, you know, there might be times where there might be some situations with, you know, the mother of the kids, or maybe she doesn't want you to do certain things, and you have to be open to stuff like that. And he just wanted me to make sure that I knew exactly what I was getting myself into before I got myself into that. Yes. So, and I definitely thank him for that, because not every parent will be supportive. Yeah, supportive, and be straight up and tell you, listen, it's going to be rough. I need you to know 100% sure of what you're doing. So that was great. And I'm glad that he said that, because it made me think about it again. Made me think about it maybe twice or 3 times. And this is something serious. Yes. You don't just enter a kid's life if you ever think that there's something that's gonna set them in marriage off or whatever. Because once you make that bond, you don't want them to go through that twice. Yes.
And not only that, but if your relationship is tight with your husband, if you have a good bond there, it makes it a little more easier.
Absolutely.
Sometimes people come into a relationship, they can only love the wife or the husband, but they don't want nothing to do with the children.
Absolutely. And I think that you have to make sure, before you even meet the kids, before you get involved the kids, you have to make sure that you love this person. Yes. Because if you don't think that, if you only like this person, you're not going to love their kids.
No. Love covers all that.
Absolutely. When you love that person, you learn to just love their kids because that's a part of them. That's a big part of them. So when I met the boys, it's funny because he tells me all the time, and I've seen it, how the oldest is a little bit more reserved.
Okay, lay back.
Yeah, very reserved. He will not talk to any grown-up, absolutely nobody.
Okay.
And people will think like this kid is antisocial.
Is something wrong with him or what?
He's very shy.
Yes.
He's very, very timid. And from the first day I saw him, he was going out of his way to get my attention.
Even though he's shy.
Even though he's shy.
Okay.
And in that moment, I saw the shock in my husband Joey's face. He was like, what is going on?
Yeah.
He literally got on the table and started smacking his head on the table and laughing and looking at me.
Wow.
Yeah, he was 4 years old. He was trying to get my attention.
And smacking his head on the table?
Yes, and just laughing, just trying to make a joke.
Okay.
That was his way of making a joke.
Okay.
And Jose was like, that has never happened ever. Okay. This is something special because that has never happened.
So I think that's why Joey said, I love you.
Yeah, yeah.
You can make my kid bang his head on the table. I love you.
Absolutely. It was just, and it was just a testament of what was going to happen afterwards. And I love those kids like they were mine, Steve. Okay. I can't explain to you, even if something, God forbid, was to happen with me and Joey, which God forbid, I think that I will always want to be a part of those kids' life because I've seen them grow. Yes. I met Nino, which is the oldest. That's his nickname, when he was 4. Okay. And the youngest one was 2. They were babies. Okay. And
you adapt to them.
Absolutely, yes. So fast, and the way that we bonded, so fast, Steve. That it's just, those are my babies. Okay. No matter how old they are.
Is there any conflict between the mother and you, or it's just she understands, like, you know what, as long as you're not hurting them, or sometimes men have a problem when another man comes in and try to help their children. Sometimes women too, just people in general.
I think it's more of a pride thing. Okay. It's like especially for men, I think it's more like, you're not teaching my son this. I want to be the one. I want to be the man to.
Women have that a little bit too.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that I'm not a mom yet, but I think that it will be kind of heartbreaking that your kid has that kind of motherly, that love towards like a motherly figure that's not you.
Yes.
And I can also understand that. We actually have no problems.
That's a blessing.
We have no issues whatsoever. Even before we got married, we sat down, all 4 of us, because me, Joey, and his ex-wife and her current husband, we all sat together and we were like, listen, there's nothing going on, nothing bad going on between us. Yes. And she even told me, I want you to know that I want you to act as that mother figure. Yes. When they're in your house. You can rebuke them when they need to be rebuked. You have absolutely my blessing to do as you please in that household.
A lot of parents don't say that, male or female. They be like, don't even look at my child, because my child called me, I'm coming for you. Yeah. So that's a blessing from God, how He has set you and Joey up to have a solid foundation. Like you said, you pray every night, and you got to have a spiritual home if you want it to work, especially coming from a blended family. I'm a step parent. Of 3 kids. Yeah. I have 3 stepchildren, and it hasn't been easy. And it's some of the struggles I've been through, where when they get older, they start smelling themselves. Of course. So they challenge me on things like, how come she can't spend the night? Yeah. How come I can't smoke in the house? Yeah. I'm like, this is a Christian home. Absolutely. You can't bring weed in here. You can't do those kind of things. So your kids is young, 16 and 17. I have a stepdaughter, and you have to deal with the boys. Absolutely. I had to deal with the boys. I mean, my stepdaughter had a boyfriend come over to the house. They're sitting on the couch. Oh, my God. They kissing in front of me. I'm like, what are you doing? We don't do that here. So that's right. You get challenged in those areas, and you just have to be, put God first and not do nothing crazy. You don't have to embarrass your kids, but you can let them know this is a house of God. We don't do this kind of stuff here. So You're going to have some challenges come down the road, and knowing that God's going to be there for you.
That's
so
right.
Don't even worry about it. You got a strong husband.
That's right.
Y'all are going to make it happen, and God's going to, work it out for you.
Yeah, and I think that one thing that makes it so easy, Steve, is that both household have a Christian foundation.
Okay, yes.
So it makes it so much, the transition between house to house is smooth because,
God is in both homes.
Exactly.
God is in both homes.
Exactly.
They getting teaching here and teaching at the other home.
Exactly. And they love to talk about God. They love to talk about the Bible.
Yes.
They love that. And it's actually pretty amazing how the young one, I would say about a year ago or something, there was this whole month where every time that he came, he would stop what he was doing. He could be in the middle of playing something, and he would stop, and he'd be like, "Jesus is coming. He's coming back." And he would just start preaching. He would just start preaching, and that it was God because you could just feel it, and then he will say something like that, and he will stop and then just go back to normal. Like he was go back to playing whatever he was doing. And
that's a blessing.
You just know, that's just a testimony of the homes. We put God first.
God is in there. God is in there.
We put God first in everything. So,
what advice would you give anyone that want to be a stepmom? What advice would you give them? Somebody's thinking about it and they're not sure, since you in it right now.
Yeah, I would say make sure that you love your partner, because you have to love them first. If you don't love them, if you're unsure of that person, don't involve the kids in there. It's such a easier transition once you know that this person is the person for you, and because you will see those kids as your own, pretty much. You will love them as the same way that you love your partner. If not, sometimes you'll even love them more.
Yes.
I feel like those kids are mine, Steve.
Yeah, I agree. I did the same thing with mine. I didn't look at them as they her kids. I looked at them like, you know what, we're in this together.
Absolutely. I feel like they are mine, and I love and I respect the fact that I respect their mom so much for the fact that she gave me a free way with them, and that she lets them love me.
Yes, she trusts you that you have the best interest for
Absolutely,
her
and she lets them love me however they want to. And I feel that unconditional love from them. And in fact, we could be out without Joey, just me and the boys out for maybe going to the grocery store or whatever, and everybody is like, oh, your kids are so well behaved, or they say something to the kids about, oh, go with mommy, or your mommy think you're helping your mommy out or whatever, and they do not even correct them. Some kids will be like, that's not my mom.
Yes.
They don't correct them. They don't correct them at all.
And you say they haven't even got spankings yet, and look how good they behave.
Yeah, I always get that everywhere we go. I'm like, your kids are so well behaved, and I just take it. And I'm like, yes, they are.
That's a blessing from God.
Yes, they are. Yeah.
Before we close, what do you love about God, and what has God done for you?
What's not to love, Steve? I mean, God has been so amazing in my life and so merciful. And I can say that wholeheartedly. He has been so patient with me.
Okay.
There has been times where I was just like, okay, I'm not doing this no more.
Okay.
There has been those times, you have those times as a believer, where you just want to leave everything behind, just give up. But God is so patient.
Yes, he is.
He is so patient with us. And he has needed patient with me, because at times I've just stopped everything that I've been doing and just like, I'm going to leave it here and I'm just going to continue doing what I want to do. Mm-hmm. There has been those times where I've been a knucklehead.
Yes.
But he always comes back to remind me where I belong.
Yes, his love, his everlasting love
Absolutely.
just keeps knocking at the door saying, don't quit.
And I grew up, like I said, in a Christian home. That's all I remember. And I grew up in a church, in a Holy Ghost-filled church.
Okay.
And I remember from a very young age of saying and seeing people dance in the spirit and speak in tongues. And from a very young age, I was like, I want that.
Okay.
I want that. To the point where I will mimic the people's prayers because I wanted to feel what they were feeling. sing the way they sing.
So you're saying you have a Pentecostal dance?
Oh, absolutely.
Why don't you cut a step right now?
No.
Cut a Pentecostal step right now. This is YouTube. Cut a Pentecostal step right now.
No, but it was something that I've always wanted. I always had a hunger for. But in my youth, especially coming when I transitioned over here in my rebellious time, I kind of did have a step back.
Okay.
You know, I didn't want to sing anymore. I wasn't taking parts in church anymore, and I was kind of doing my own thing. And I started hanging out with my aunts and my cousins that weren't really doing the right things.
Yeah.
And I was introduced to a lot of whole new things in school, and you know, that wasn't, being the Christian girl wasn't very liked.
But you maintain your grades and everything, correct?
There were some times where I kind of left
Fell
my
off.
faith behind.
Okay.
There were some times, I'm not going to lie to you, there were some times where I left my faith behind, and I got into the wrong crowds, and being the Christian girl was just not liked. You know, it was to laughed upon in school, and I didn't want to be that girl, especially coming from Puerto Rico. I wanted to have friends. I wanted to be liked. I wanted to, you know, just
Fit in.
Absolutely. And just have someone
Yes.
to just have lunch with.
Yes, yes.
You know, I didn't want to be that girl that took her lunch and went to the bathroom and just ate it in the bathroom stall and cried herself to, you know, while she ate her donut or her pizza or whatever. And that was that I had a struggle, but
Thank God for bringing you through.
thank God for grace,
Yes,
man.
bringing
His
you through your
grace is
struggles.
just
Bringing you through your
sufficient,
struggle. Yes.
and it's always on time.
Yes.
And that's something that I love about God, that no matter how badly we reject him, he's still with open
there.
arms.
Yes, still there.
It's unbelievable.
Yes,
How,
still there.
what other person that you know, you could like spit in their face and they're still like, bro.
Even when you're married, you can't spit on each other. If you do, you better be like, honey, I'm so sorry. Let
I'm
me
so
get that off you.
Absolutely. But I just,
Yes.
his unconditional love,
Yes,
it's
we're
just
grateful
something.
that he loves us.
Absolutely.
You know.
So that's definitely one of the things, I mean, I'm pretty sure that a lot of people can relate in that.
Well, Ashley, thank you for coming to the show. Thank you for sharing your story, being a stepmom, your Christian walk, and your parents, and your transition from Puerto Rico. It's been such a blessing having you on the show. And those that are listening and watching, thank you for listening to Real Talk. You can check us out on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. God bless you.
God bless.
You can reach out to Steve at realtalk877@gmail.com, Instagram and Facebook at Real Talk with Steve Harrison.